Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about deploying one-to-one using Chromebooks and how that's working in our school district. And we're not one-to-one yet. We'll be one-to-one this fall. So what I'm talking about is everything that is the lead-up preparation to get there and how that has looked for us using the Google Apps for Education environment and using Chromebooks. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Technology and Learning in the Maine 207 schools, which are not in Maine. They are in Illinois, right next to O'Hare Airport. And if you want to come back to this presentation, I'll put it up there again. It's the short link right there. It'll be up at the end. So our school district is located 15 miles northwest of downtown Chicago. We're right next to O'Hare Airport. That's what you see in the bottom left-hand corner of the picture there. And we cover a good amount of distance in the Chicagoland area. We're kind of squeezed between O'Hare Airport and the borders of Chicago. Our school district is only high school, so that may factor into some of the things you hear us discuss today. We have 7,000 students in the three major high schools, about 1,500 staff members, and we really focus a lot in teacher leadership and teachers leading teachers, which is going to be essential as we talk about some of the preparation we're doing in anticipation of one-to-one. We were an early adopter of Google Apps for Education. We claim that we were the first K-12 school district. That may or may not be true, but we were one of the first. We hopped on board with Google Apps for Education in 2007, and we are all Google all the time in our school district. So this makes going with Chromebooks a very easy choice for us. We pretty much do all of our communication, collaboration, sharing of documents, all happens through the Google platform. This pretty graphic, I don't know if it's understandable, but is kind of a year at a time of how we've layered in the components of Google Apps for Education. We started with our students and went from there. Just as with our Chromebooks, we're starting with our students. We'd like to believe that we are very student-focused in what we do and that this is who we're doing this for. Next year is the red box up in the top, live for grades 9 and 10, which is about 4,000 devices for us. So getting ready for that is a lot of explaining why it is that this makes sense. You're going to see, I usually don't put this much text on my slides, but if you want to go back, I wanted to give you stuff you could go back to. So I'm not reading, okay? But we really focused in on some of the research that's behind why you would want to do this instructionally, right? That's what it's about. It should be about learning in classrooms. And there's some research out there to justify that this is a good direction to go in. You follow that up with, we've had about 5 or 6 years of pilots in different one-to-one settings throughout our school district. One of our most successful ones is our Integrated Freshman Literacy program. And what IFL is our group of students in our school that has the most diversity and has the lowest socioeconomic challenge, or the greatest socioeconomic challenges. And we take a swath of students of about 125 freshmen that the past shows that these kids don't improve when they're in high school. They actually go backwards. And if they actually stick around in high school after 4 years, they're further behind than they were when they got there. So we kind of rethought how you teach those students, and we redesigned the curriculum, and part of that curriculum integrated digital blended learning with more authentic online resources, and a lot of communication and collaboration with the kids and the teachers. And what we saw consistently, what we've seen over the last 5 years, are these students not just making gains, but making gains to the point where they are catching or passing their peers. Okay, so that's huge. And it laid a lot of the groundwork for more pilots and expanding beyond into other areas, which has now led us to where we're going next year. All right? Now we'll get into some of the technical stuff. Part of the reason, part of the things we've been doing over the last few years is piloting a variety of devices. So we've done, as you saw on the slide before, a variety of netbooks, Windows laptops, iPads, the whole deal. One of the things that our tech staff loves about Chromebooks is that they're very easy to work with. Okay, and what we found in our pilots was that the device, technically speaking, that was the easiest to deal with was the Chromebook. We can get a lab of Chromebooks deployed in under 3 hours. So that's a huge time savings in getting them in place. And then what we also found out is that once you get them there, you really don't have to do anything. You know, they pretty much support themselves, updates show up, all of those kinds of things. So so far as our tech staff goes, they love Chromebooks. They're a lot easier to get out and a lot easier to support. I'm not going to actually play this for you. Well, maybe I'll play a chunk of it for you. But this is, as a result of our pilots, several of our student groups put together videos about their experience. So this is one that our students and staff put together. I'll play a chunk of it for you, assuming I have sound here. All right. Well, I won't. Come on. All right, moving on. But they tell you that internet devices are cool, and how they, not just cool, but cool in the way that it changes instruction in their classroom. And that's the focus. So more technical stuff here. Why do we end up with Chromebooks? And there's the whole list. Okay? But really for us, it's about communication and collaboration and changing how that happens in our classrooms. About being able to move to more digital blended learning environments that work more like that integrated freshman literacy program did. And this tool allows that very easily. And then you're going to see cost obviously plays a factor in this, sustainability, supporting it, those kinds of things. Now, one of the things that Google talks about is eating its own dog food. Google uses its own products before they release them out to the public. Google actually lives in the Google Apps environment, just as we do in our school district. Well, I believe that as the person who's responsible for technology and learning in my school district, anything that I'm going to expect my kids to do, I better be able to do as well. So this is how I've been living for the last year. What you'll see there is at my desk is a Chromebox. That's my primary device when I'm at my desk. Then one of the things we've promised our teachers and students is that if a device ever breaks, they'd be able to swap out a device instantly. And I'll explain how that works in a second. They'll be able to be up and running in Chrome. So one of the things I've been testing for the last few months is, can I do the same thing? Right? Can I just switch seamlessly between devices and have the same experience? So I have a couple of different Chromebooks there in the Chromebox, and that's how I work. When I walk away from my desk, I pick up one of those two things and walk away. When I come back, I'm back on the Chromebox. But if I can do my job for a school district, living Chrome, I think my kids can do their job in our classrooms doing the same. We've obviously had to prepare our infrastructure for this, all right? And I won't spend a lot of time on that, but that's kind of, we have a lot of bandwidth that we've dedicated, and we've taken resources to do that. And that's the stack of Chromebooks for kind of a quarter of the Chromebooks for one of our schools. It's kind of getting real now. We're also doing a lot to get our students ready. Obviously, we work in Chrome. That's the platform that our students use. But we've also have a system set up. Our students will actually purchase the device. And I'll explain how that cost offset works in a second. But they're going to come through kind of a book sale model, pick up a Chromebook, and then we're going to get them started. So there's a room they'll go to where there'll be support to get them up and running on the Chromebook. One of the things you can do from the Chrome Management Console, if you're not familiar with that, there's a whole management console where you can control either policies on the device level or the user level. One of the things we will do for all of our students is push kind of an intranet Google site web page to every student, so when they log in at the beginning, will be all their information they need, the help, everything else will be their landing page. Then the first day of school, we have a whole set of program developed for all of our kids to get them up and running. And then supporting them is what we call the Chrome Depot, which is a student-run help desk where students can come by and get help on a device, get one repaired. And we have been, for the last few years, running what we call our Tech Genius program, which has been the student help desk for students with any tech issues, not just device-specific ones. And then we also, as I said, we're grades 9 through 12. So we have 3 elementary school districts that send us their kids. And one of the great things going into next year is they're all using Google Apps for Education as well. So next year, all of our incoming freshmen will have used Google Apps for Education for 2 years before getting to us. So that's kind of going to be an exciting way to get started as well. This won't be new to them at all. We also have worried about teacher readiness. Obviously, we're using Google Apps for Education with our teachers and staff as well. But to get them ready, we've done 4 trainings. We will have had 4 training sessions for every staff member before the school year starts of about an hour to hour and a half each. And then we have what we call instructional coaches in each of our buildings that help teachers with all areas of instruction, technology being one of those. We don't separate technology from instruction in our school district. And then we have coaches that we call the matchmakers in departments. What they try to do is find, you need help with something, they pair you up with somebody who can help you. In our school district, we have, at this point, we have some on the way as well. We have 17 app certified trainers within our school district that have gone through that program that are teachers that can help other teachers. And we're focusing on the SAMR model to get, that's the structure we're working through. And if you're not familiar with the SAMR model, that link there is about a 90-second video clip that explains how that works. Teachers also will use the Chrome Depot as well. So that student-run help desk is the spot where any staff member, any student goes if they have a tech question in our school district. We've also worried about parent readiness. We've had, the first thing we did when we announced this was we put out a Google Moderator. And if you're not familiar with Google Moderator, it allows you to ask questions, and then you can vote for questions that other people have as well, so you can kind of vote questions up. We did that on a public site. Anybody could ask anything. And we got interesting ones. You know, we put out a video that explained why we were doing this. One of the questions that came back was, now that I've watched your propaganda-laced video, my question is, you know, so, but we took them all. And what was great about that was that it really gave us an idea of the questions that were out there. And we answered every single one of those questions that came in. And that helped us greatly because then we started holding parent meetings. We've seen well over 1,000 student parents over the spring. And there was not a single question brought up in one of those parent meetings that wasn't first on the moderator. So what worked great for us was that when we did the moderator, we had time to thoughtfully think through an answer. So that when we got that on the stage with a person in front of us asking us directly the same kind of question, we had an answer prepared. We also have a website out there. There's the link down there that provides the information for our families. So this is how the breakdown works for us. This is what a student is actually buying when they purchase their Chromebook from us next year. So they're going to buy the Chromebook, and that's the pricing that we got through our vendor. The management license, which is the management console, a case, and we're also using Hapara as a classroom management tool, which is an add-on through the Chrome Web Store. I believe they're down the hall here too if you want to talk to them. But that layers a teacher dashboard in there for finding docs quickly, but it also allows you to monitor the devices while they're at school. That's the way we've set it up. And it allows the teachers to push out links to the kids to quickly get to pieces. Quick question? It's a yearly cost. But the way we've structured the pricing is that they pay for the 4 years up front. Okay? That's why the sophomores are cheaper, because they're paying for 3 years of Apara, and the freshmen are paying for 4 years of Apara. Okay? So the goal of this, I've actually had teachers asking for the last 3 years for, we want to go one-to-one. And I would have loved to have gone one-to-one, but I had to set up some roadblocks here to make sure that we were ready to do it. And one of the things that we do is our students buy their textbooks, much like a college model. So there's a book sale process every August where students come in and they go through book sales and they buy their books, and they walk out with a backpack of books that costs them about $500 on average. Okay? The other thing is we also have several textbooks that are state loaned, where those books cost the students no money. Well, I don't know if you follow Illinois politics, but we faced some challenges, and they eliminated the state textbook program. So we have textbooks that are 10 to 14 years old that would now start to be added onto students' book bags. So $500 book bags are going to start becoming $800 book bags. Okay? So with that coming in, I said to our staff, find a way to make this cost neutral. Find a cost-neutral way for our families to go one-to-one, and we'll do it, which means you need to move to more free, open-source resources rather than print textbooks or cheaper electronic textbooks. So over the course of the last year, we've had quite a few subject areas step forward in grades 9 and 10 to make this a reality. So you kind of see here just 2 student book bags, what happens to them over the course of their career. And you can see in one example, obviously this varies based on the courses you select, but you end up saving $120 in one example. In another example, you end up saving only $7. Okay, but either way, you walk out with the same kind of a set of resources, well, better resources if you ask me, at a cost-neutral model. The other thing that it does as a byproduct is the next column shows you, like your freshman year, your general kid is going to have a book bag that's almost 18 pounds lighter than it was last year. And that's significant. Okay? This is the whole thing of how it breaks out between electronic and digital if you're interested, but that's where the real cost savings come in. So you can see really freshman year it's algebra, social science, math, social science, science is where the big changes are coming along. What's that? Yeah, I'll put up the link at the end so you can see it. So this is kind of a book bag breakdown of how it works for that freshman year. And then for the student, this is a sophomore student example. One of the big savings you can see is happening is we're not requiring students to purchase a graphing calculator anymore, because one of the Chrome web apps, I believe they're in the back over here, Desmos, is a web app that does graphing calculator online. And what we've done in the past is rented out graphing calculators to students. We're pulling all of those back in for testing situations, standardized testing, those kinds of things. So if our math teachers want to do a test where students aren't using the Chromebook but are using a traditional calculator, they can do that. Or when ACTs come around and those kinds of things. So that's kind of how we're balancing that. What we're calling this is a student-owned, school-managed structure. The student owns the device. They pay for it over the course of the school year in 5 payments with the rest of their books. That's a new thing that we added this year. It used to be if you bought your books in August, you spent all the money up front, you were done. So you had to walk in with $500 or $600 or whatever. As a response to this, although it's almost cost neutral, or you actually save money, we are also extending the ability to pay for this in payments. Okay, so that's kind of a trade-off to get a little good PR with it. And then you own the device as a student. But when you are at school, we are managing that device. Okay, so we do those kinds of things. And then when you leave the school district, we remove it from the management console, and then it's your device completely, and you walk away. So this is kind of the summary of everything I just gave you. Okay, so 3-year phase-in, grades 9 and 10, students buy it. If they're on free or reduced lunch or fee waivers, we purchase the device and issue it to the student. and they pay a $25 down payment security deposit. That's what we've done with that integrated freshman literacy program for the last 5 years, and we have found that that $25 deposit is enough that kids treat it as if it's their own device, or parents make sure it does. I mean, we have some families that $25 security deposit comes in payments. Okay, so that is significant for some of our families. And we lose more devices to staff every year than we do to students. Okay, so it has been a really good model for us, and it has worked. As I said, we're doing this textbook offset, student-owned, school-managed, using those two things, the management console that adds into the Chromebook, and then Hapara on top of that. The students are supporting it in the Chrome Depot program, and those are the links down there that'll get you there. The actual presentation itself, there's the short link, and our sites, and how to get in touch with me. I think I have a few minutes here. I have about 5, which I did good. Questions that you might have? Yeah. Sure. So the digital divide, internet access question at home. There's a couple of ways that we address this. One is several of the key Chrome apps are available offline, like docs, presentations, sheets, those kinds of things. That's the first piece. The next piece is that we have extended our library hours, and because we're also grades 9 through 12, our high school has events going on in it all the time. So what our integrated freshman literacy kids told us when we asked them this question is that go to a basketball game, go watch volleyball, go to a swim meet. I'm not interested in swimming, but I can sit in the stands and I can work on my Chromebook and have internet anytime I want it. So it's kind of interesting. They're like, I've gone to more volleyball games than I ever thought I would, but I get internet access. The other thing is we had our IFL kids do this, and now we're going to have all our students do it next year, is submit spots in our community that offer free Wi-Fi. And what we find is our kids really don't have to go very far before there's a McDonald's or a Panera or the public library where there's internet. And the final piece of that we saw was once parents saw what their kids were doing on these devices with internet, all of a sudden they found ways to get it in their house. Whether that was Comcast Internet Essentials for $10 a month, or it was some other way that they did it, but all of a sudden parents saw that this was important. You've got to realize with that IFL program, the device we're providing for many of those families was the very first computer that family had ever owned. So they don't know that they need it yet. And then once the device shows up, they find a way. Other questions? Yeah. Well, the nice thing about a Chromebook is everything's in the cloud. So they can add any web apps they want or any of those things, and actually they'll transfer when they go to any other Chromebook. So we're just, when we say we manage it, some of the things that we do is we push out the wireless settings. It allows us to put them in a group so that if, like when park assessments come and those kinds of things, that we can take control of those devices and put them in the environment that they need to be in at that point. But other than that, we're not doing much to manage them. The other thing it allows us to do is to force them to sign into their school account when they're at school, or when they're on that device, so that we know that they're signed into Hapara and they're getting the settings we want them to have. I have 1 more minute. Yeah. The park assessment will run on a Chromebook, yes. Any others? What's that? Do I have a filter? When they go home? No, when they go home, they're in the wild. And we've explained that to the parents. When they're in school, we're required to filter, and we only filter really what's required by SEPA to require. So pornographic images, obscene images. Other than that, we believe in using the tools that are there. And the internet, I don't like spending more filtering the internet than I do bringing it in. So we try to keep it as open as possible. All right, that's all the time I have up here in front of you. I'm more than welcome to stand aside here. Come on and see me. So thank you.